Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Andora Hinton, and I am CEO of Willow North Growth Partners. And first, let me just say I am a little under the weather today, but so excited to be joining you all. And thank you for joining us for our third season of What's in the News. We are so excited. Yes, thank you, Danny. We're so excited. And as we start our third season, and having more guests, I am so excited to introduce to you all Danny Hastaba, and I'm going to share a little bit about Danny and then have him share a little bit about himself. But Danny and I met through an organization that I do work for college students, which is really exciting. And Danny's company, Hearst, is very much involved in that. So, Danny, thank you so much for being here today. Danny, you are the Director of SAA Training and Development and also wearing many hats, a local sales manager at WBPF in West Palm Beach. So you do wear many, many hats. So let me just say thank you so much for joining us today.
No, I appreciate it, or it's good to be with you. Hey, look, 3 seasons get you into syndication, I think. So you might want to
Really?
start having your team broker some deals.
Oh, well, we'll do it. We will do it. This has really been a really exciting adventure. And the best part has been us transitioning to having guests like yourself. And I will share with our audience today, Danny, one of the reasons why I want you to talk. I was listening to your presentation and you were saying so many awesome things. And I was like, wait a
Oh,
minute,
that's sweet of
I
you
need
to
to know more about this person. He's got lots of good things to say, and I want him to say it to our audience. So, Danny, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, sure. And hello to all your listeners and viewers. And it's so cool to be here with you today, just to have this topic of conversation. But just a 50,000 foot view of myself is I am what they deem a broadcast brat. My dad, Paul, was in the media business his entire career. So my summers in high school were spent delivering lunch to him and sitting in the corner of his office and watching him interact with his sales reps and clients. So it's something that I actually volunteered to be interested in and be a part of. But I've had the good fortune to work for many great people and many great companies, but have been with Hearst since October of 2012. I was a local sales rep for a couple of years and then had the good fortune to become the national sales manager for WPBF 25, the same station I sit at now. And from there, after about 2 or 3 years, transitioned to lead and support the local sales team. And then as of 2024, was lucky enough to be able to contribute to Hearst Television in a little bit different of a role, a more corporate role, as leading our sales account associate training and development program, which is pretty unique to Hearst. Each station has one of these for any sports fans out there. It's kind of like a farm system in the Major League Baseball sports league, where instead of bringing somebody in that may have spent a year in radio, or bringing people in and bringing them through a really, really rough and tumble 6-week training program, we have a program, the SAA program, that allows people who are interested and have a passion for broadcast sales or sales in general to learn our business in a really, really safe environment where they can play around and get real life experience and break stuff and learn from some of the best people at our stations across the country, and be able to learn this business from the bottom up. And then they have the ability to become full-time account executives or media consultants, which are terms we use interchangeably for Hearst Television across our stations.
Wow. So, Danny, your journey of being in this business started when you were younger, whether you really knew it or not, right?
I knew it, trust me. But yeah, and look, it's so cool. I mean, I've walked into national agencies as my time as a national sales manager, where I'm calling on somebody who's like, "Are you Paul?" I'm like, "No, he's my dad." And they're like, "Wait a minute." So it's really gratifying to have those. Artie was one of them at the leadership
Yeah.
at MSA. Artie and my dad worked together for a decade. So
Oh, that's awesome.
those types of experiences are just really, really cool to be a part of, and have the pleasure of getting those types of experiences that I've been
Absolutely.
fortunate enough to have.
my background's not in broadcast, but it was on the newspaper side.
Mhm.
And what I found is that there were so many people that knew from no matter if you were at the same company or different companies, there were just so many people that knew each other or knew somebody
Oh,
that you knew, which I
same
always
players, different teams.
yeah, same
That's what
players,
it's
different
about.
exactly. Exactly. So I know you gave me a really good topic for us to talk about, which we don't talk about this topic as much.
All right. So this can
But
either be bad or good.
I know exactly. Well, and one of the things it can be is very interesting. So today we're going to focus on transactional versus transformational leadership to develop talent.
Yeah.
And so, Danny, I'm assuming that this is a topic that's very, very important to you. Talk to me. Like I said, we don't really talk about it in this way of transactional versus transformational. I mean, I
Mhm.
think what conceptually people kind of know what that means, but why is this topic so important to you?
Yeah, thanks. To me, you kind of turn into a builder at a certain point in your career when you're either you have the honor to lead teams or get put in a position where you need to lead teams or manage. And this isn't even necessarily pigeonholed to broadcast media or media sales in general, but um, trying to find ways to cultivate and elevate that talent, and get them to do great things, or help assist them and support them in doing great things. And we were talking before we rolled here today about where this kind of came from. And as a manager, you're always looking for content to add into your weekly sales meeting, and you have to balance how many sports references you throw in. You gotta go and fish in different ponds for that stuff. But for any of your folks out there watching or listening who can have Googled Nick Saban for 5 minutes, this guy is a wealth of motivational content. He is the home of chasing down his players in practice and telling them to tuck in their shirts because he believes that you need to be elite at simple tasks. He is the same author of the concept that we have 5 choices in life. We can be bad, we can be average, we can be good, we can be great, or we can be elite or exceptional. And that really is his philosophy on how he was able to build a dynasty in college football at Alabama. So, probably about mid to late last year, I started looking around for stuff for my team and came across this concept of transactional versus transformational or transformative leadership. It really kind of latched onto it and tried to see how it works in my world. And it's really interesting stuff to me to find out the differences. And if you don't mind me kind of jumping into it, I think
Yeah.
really at its core, and or it gets boiled down to transactional leadership is just rooted in outcome, which
Mm,
kind of there's pitfalls there, right? It's rooted in good job, bad job. Something happened as a manager, we tell our salespeople or our employee, good job, bad job.
mhm.
And the reason that there's pitfalls there, I'll let you in on a conversation myself and my mentor have had a lot, Jim Stews at JDA Media, which is a really well-known firm in my universe. But we talk about how as leaders or managers, we think that that's a one-to-one ratio. Good job plus one, bad job minus one. But the interesting thing is the more you do research and the more you get in the heads of the teams that you're leading or managing, is your employees see that as a 5-to-1 ratio. Good job plus one, minus job, bad job minus five. So you think about that extrapolated throughout a week with your team as a whole or as individual people that report to you, kind of put yourself at a disadvantage if you're thinking of it as a 1-to-1 ratio. So I think that's where you can really dig into the transactional side, whereas we really feel the transformative side is in the trenches, rooted in teaching and explaining the why and taking the time to explain the why. Collaborating, connecting at a human level, not just as a boss employee, but connecting at a human level with your folks, to be able to find out what makes them tick and collaborating with them accordingly to help it not be so focused on the outcomes. And if you can teach and showcase and set expectations on the behaviors to get good outcomes, you don't have to be so transactional leaning.
Yes. Well, first of all, I think I graduated from University of Alabama, so I'm a huge
I
Alabama,
know. I'm a Tennessee grad. I know.
but also a huge Nick Saban fan. And you're right. There's tons of things that he has said, that he has done, that's so motivational. Um, I love what you said around this +1 -5, because one of the things that we talk a lot about is around this concept of giving feedback, that a lot of leaders feel like their people don't receive feedback as well. And so
Mm,
we talk about that one of the reasons that might be happening is that we're giving too much feedback that might be constructive feedback that might feel like criticism to
yeah,
someone,
yeah.
rather than balancing it out with a little bit more praise and also constructive feedback. So when you balance it out, you're creating a culture of feedback.
Mhm.
So this transactional versus transformative or transformational connects with that a little bit, because you're probably being a little bit more transactional when you feel like you're giving so much feedback that it almost feels like criticism.
Yeah, and much like any good salesperson, it's not dictating, right? It's asking questions to
Yeah.
uncover good information and get to where you ultimately want to be in that given situation. So, you know, I I hear Jim's voice ringing in my head all the time about making deposits
Yes.
in the good bucket, and thank you, Jim, for that. But it when you get in a sales situation and an outcome happens and you're in the car ride on the way back to the station, it's you know when this happened, what were you thinking? And then asking follow-up questions accordingly to see how they saw the world. Things move so fast in these situations that it's our job as leaders and managers to kind of slow it down and be analytical and observant about them. And then instead of dictating, hey, you do this, bad job, it's, hey, on the next one, let's maybe think about these things. And I
Yeah.
think that can be really powerful to, because that's more collaborative than dictating bad job. And it's really, you find out that the way that these things can go are really in just how you frame it.
Yes, absolutely. Danny, how do you feel like leaders could transition from, or are there situations where leaders can transition from transactional, there's necessary to transition from
Correct.
transactional to transformative?